Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Grace. Today's video is going to be about my story. How I came over to the US and how I'm doing nursing over here. So the easiest answer, the quickest answer is that I was invited. I was invited here by a close family member right when I had just started university in Uganda, back home. I had just started university. I was in my first year, and a family member asked me to come over here and, study something. We came to the conclusion that nursing would be a good option since it had a higher chance of, getting some kind of employment over here. It was meant to be a stepping stone, since I was coming over here, there was not going to be too many family members and a lot of ways to support myself. I needed to have something dependable so that I could be able to do that for myself. He helped me with the application process. He chose a school for me because I didn't know any schools here. So he made the recommendation. We were talking with my dad and trying to figure out how everything was going to work out. When he needed something from me, he just let me know, and I worked as hard as I could to make it happen. So one of the things I had to do was do the SATs, which I did. I know I had to travel somewhere to get some documentation together so that when I came over here, I had all the copies of everything that I needed. And then I also went for the interview and everything went fine. I did not have to pay any money because at that time I was not making money. I was in my first year of university. My parents and my family members are the ones who, came up with the money to pay for everything, the service fee, application fees for everything. So when I got here, I was living on campus. We had tried other options, but that was the best and cheapest because if you live off campus, you have to think about transportation, and on campus that was taken care of. We made a decision earlier on that I was going to do my cooking, and I'm fine cooking. I've always cooked for myself and my family, so I was fine with that. That was going to save us money. So once school started, I had to take on a full load because of being an F1 student. You have to take on a full load of classes. And then I started looking for ways to work. It is illegal to work in the United States without a social security number, so I had to get that as soon as possible. Once I did, it had a restriction. I could not work anywhere other than the campus that I was studying at. So the apartments that I was staying, which were on campus, had some few slots for employment, and I worked with them. I worked with them for 2 years and I took on multiple positions, but during that entire time, they were my main source of employment. From time to time, I also took on positions as a tutor whenever my schedule would allow, because I was on a full schedule. I was doing nursing. The housing job was only taking care of my housing. So basically I worked for them and I stayed in one of their rooms for free. But it didn't pay for anything else. It did not pay for my transportation, food, and then tuition was being taken care of by my family members. So that worked out pretty good. I did the best I could, he did the best he could, and we were able to graduate with a nursing degree at the end of the day. So that was amazing. When I was about to finish school, like right before my last year, I had to start thinking about what I was going to do after I graduated. Because once you graduate, you have a certain amount of days to leave the country in case you have nothing else scheduled. I think it's about 120 or 180 days, something like that. You have to leave the country because whatever you came for, you have now achieved, which is whatever degree or diploma that you have. And I had to start thinking of what I was going to do next. Was I going to go back or was I going to stay? If I was going to go back, I started thinking about, how life was going to look like with a nursing degree in Uganda. And thinking about it, it didn't look good. So I thought about the other option of staying here. When I looked into it, there were hurdles ahead of me. I had to get work authorization. I needed a job. And then if I worked in that job, I think STEM students get like 2 years on their work permit to work. And then other disciplines get about 1 year. I had a mentor on campus. He was a professor of computer science and IT. And he had come from Liberia. He had come years before. I think he had been in the United States for like 20 years. But I would go to him from time to time to ask questions about, the process and any hurdles that I had. Between him, the international student advisor, and just regular Google, I could get all the information that I needed on any question that I asked. So I went to him and asked him about how to get through this situation. And from all those sources, this is what I came up with. I could apply for a work permit and find somebody, an employer, who is willing to sponsor me for a green card. And then I would, during that time that I had my work permit, I would work for them as we try to get this green card together. Because the government process, when they're trying to, make things work, takes months or even years. Like if you apply for anything, it's gonna take you about 6 months to 2 years to get anything done. So I found that out. And then I also had a friend who was applying for, I think, a green card in some kind of way, and she was letting me know how long she had to wait for things to move, for the process to get on. And so with all that information, I came up with a plan of, what I was gonna do. I was gonna apply for the work permit ahead of time, about 6 to 8 months ahead of the time that I needed it. And then I was gonna use that work permit to apply to a job that was willing to sponsor me for a green card. And since the work permit was estimated to give me about a year or 2 years, I was hoping that I would use that time to apply for the green card, and hopefully it would, everything would happen in time. So that's exactly what I did. Right when I finished my second last semester of school, I applied for my work permit before I had even been accepted for the last semester. I applied for the work permit, and then we started the last semester. And then when we finished that last semester, about the last few weeks, we were supposed to do some kind of review of something. Hospitals in the area sent representatives from the Human Resources Department to come and talk to us to try to recruit nurses to work for them. And during their presentations, they told us a lot of things, but my only question was, were they able or were they willing to sponsor an international student to get a green card? There were about 8 or 10 representatives, and I kept on asking the same question over and over again. Most of the other students in my class were so frustrated. They kept on telling me, go back to your country. but I kept on asking. The last speaker said yes. So after the event, I went and talked to her and asked her what she needed from me in order, to make the whole process go through. And she said the first thing that she needs is for me to pass the NCLEX. Because once I pass the NCLEX, I can get a license. That's all she needed. And at this point, we have just finished class. We have not yet sat for the NCLEX. So once she let me know that, I was like, okay. And I was trying to figure out the timeline. How fast are we going to apply for this green card? Because I'm hoping to get a work permit. There is no guarantees. I'm hoping to get a work permit. And once I get it, it may give me X amount of time. I let her know it's gonna be either 1 to 2 years, but I'm thinking 1 year because I was not in one of the STEM majors. So I let her know ahead of time, and she was like, they were gonna begin the process as soon as I started work. And I was like, great. That was amazing. So after that event, I knew what my job prospect was. So I studied for the NCLEX. I passed it the first time. I applied for my license. I called that representative from that hospital and I let her know where I was in the process. Around the same time, I received the work permit and it was expiring within 1 year. So I called her, I let her know what was going on, and she called me for an interview. So I got the interview. I had a temp license. She let me know when to start, which was about a few days from when I had the interview. So I think I had the interview on a Tuesday, and she asked me if I could start on Monday. And I had to move house, which I did within those few days, and then I started work. And a few days, weeks later, we started the process of the green card. Basically, she put me in contact with an immigration lawyer, and the immigration lawyer started giving me instructions. Put this information together, go to this website, It was CGFNS. They had to verify my education, and then from there they had to use that documentation to apply for the green card. It was a process before another process before another process, but it was fine. I was willing to go through it. I wanted to just do whatever I could, and if it failed, then I could pack my bags and go back home. But I put everything that I could towards making this work. I worked my job. I applied for everything that they needed me to apply for in this green card process. And then while I was working, I was saving money because I knew that there was a possibility that everything that I was doing would not work. So if it did not work, I wanted to be able to go back home with something. So I wanted to save some money just in case I needed to go home. I needed to have some money with me. And then I knew that my work permit was also going to expire at a certain time. So I needed to have money just in case the process was still going on, but my work permit expired. I wanted to have some money on me to cover that period. And I think like a few months after I started working, I applied for a replacement green card, like a renewal, because the work permit that they sent, the first one, it arrived a few months after its issue date. So by the time that I got it, I had about 10 months left before that work permit expired. So I gave it about 6 months. 6 months to the expiration date, I applied for a renewal because I knew it took them time to, process whatever they were processing to get me the next one. So I continued working, but by the time my work permit expired, they had not yet sent me a renewal. And my job had to let me go because it would be illegal for them to let me work without a valid work permit. And that time took 3 months. I'll have another story about what I did in those 3 months. But after 3 months, they sent me the renewal of the work permit. And the renewal was based on the fact that I had applied for a green card and it was pending. So that's why they sent me the extra work permit. Otherwise, I had no grounds. You cannot just apply for a renewal of a work permit just like that. If they give you your one, the first one is just for 1 year because that's all that they can give you, and it's not even guaranteed. So the second one was based on the green card application. Anyways, by the time the second one was reaching its expiration, which was about 2 years, which was about another year later, so 2 years in total, they sent me the green card. The green card made everything easier, but that is how I got into nursing. That is how I am doing the job that I'm doing. That's how I got to stay and continue working as a nurse in the United States. I first had to do the education and then apply for the authorization to work, and then look for the employer who was willing to sponsor me so that I could continue working. And once they sponsored me and get me the green card, I just continued doing what I was doing. So right now I'm still working as a nurse, but I'm working as a travel nurse. I don't work in one hospital. I work in multiple hospitals at different times. Basically, whoever is willing to pay me a certain amount of money to do the job. I take the best pay that I can in the best locations. That's what I do. So the way that I came in is just one of many ways, because during my work travel as a nurse, I have worked at hospitals where nurses who studied nursing in another country have come in and continued working. They did not have to go to school here. They just came in with their credentials and continued working as a nurse, but here. I've worked with nurses from Australia, the UK, Ghana, Nigeria, India, even the Philippines, Kenya. I've worked with nurses who have come from there with their education and come to the United States and continued working as nurses. So I know it's possible. I know that the process may be a little bit different, and you may have like more professional people, like corporate people, to help you to do it. Because for me, I was the one doing the searching of the employer. I was the one, getting the documentation together. You may have to do some of the same things, but I am assuming that if somebody is looking for talent and they come to your country and you apply, I'm thinking they are running their own process. I'm not sure if they're coming in with like credentialing, lawyers and all that, but I'm sure they take over some part or most of the part of the process. Mine was a little bit different. I was doing it by myself, and I was looking for all these people and trying to, fill in the blanks and make it work. It worked, and it gave me a lot of experience, or like the technical know-how, because I still have those contacts. I still have the contact of the hospital that I work at and all the other hospitals that I've worked at. I have the contact of the lawyer that I worked with. I still have the contact of the school. The school is right, in my area. I went to it multiple times. So I got to, fill out most of the part of the process. So I feel confident that other people can do it. You can do it if you're interested. it's given me a different perspective, because what people call hard, I'm like, it's fine. We can move through it. The people that I went to nursing school with were older. Like this was their second career or third career, or they were just trying to increase their education. So I was one of the youngest people in the class. Most people were in the 30s, 40s, 50s. We had 60-year-olds, and in my class we had one 70-year-old. I didn't have like transportation to take me to the hospital and like the campus for nursing. And then the school itself was located in like a rural area. And everybody was older, they had families. And if I asked for, a ride to, somebody to pick me up on their way to clinicals, because clinicals would be like at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. The bus is not running at that time. You can't stand at the bus stop at that time, because I was at an HBCU. It was kind of very scary to be out on the street at that time. But I had to ride the bus, and sometimes the bus would pass you and it would say like, we're out of service or something like that. And if you were late for class 3 times, that's an absent. On your second absent, don't even come to class. They'll send you a letter that you have been dismissed from nursing school. Whew. So it was different. It was a different gauntlet. But I'm glad I went through it. The experience is amazing. But yes, this is my experience. That is how I got here. That is how I started working in this field. And that's how I continue working in this field. It is possible for anybody. You just gotta have the persistence and determination to do it, because they're gonna put in so many hurdles to make sure you cannot get to where you need to. But you can knock those over. You can make it work. Do whatever you set your mind to. If you want to come here and study, come here and study. If you want to come here for a job, then do it. Come over here and do the job. They're going to put hurdles all over the place in your way, trying to stop you. But you can do it. You can get over each one of them. It is possible, because I did it. If you want to do it, just get on top of it. It may take you time. Usually it takes them time to process anything. So be prepared for that. I have made videos on this subject or similar subjects. You can take the time and watch them. You will have more information on this subject from those videos. You can also look up this information for yourself from the websites. Their schools have websites. The State Board of Nursing has website. The NCLEX has websites. The Immigration Service has websites. Your embassy has a website. Look up all this information and figure out what you need to do to get here. And if there is anybody whom you know who has already gone through the process and is successful at whatever they're doing, ask them for help. Ask them for help, figure out what they have done. They can get you through the process a little bit faster. If you've watched this video and come this far, thank you for staying, thank you for watching. If you know anybody who needs to hear this information, please send them the video. I'm happy to help. I hope they find value in it. I hope you find value in it. Otherwise, thank you for watching and have a great day. Approach yourself.